thing, but that's fine. So
That's fine.
we kind of just started anyways. So
Yeah.
the thing with the connection between the ascendant and the descendant is that the descendant represents also kind of like your general relationship with people, part of your
Mm.
upbringing as well, not necessarily family. So what that means
Mm-hmm.
is that because you were brought up in a very kind of lots of drama, lots of probably a lot of creativity, like a lot of probably what felt probably like self-serving or selfish, or it's childlike as well. Not even childlike, it's like childish sort of
Mm-hmm.
environments. What happened is that kind of Leo feel where it's like me, 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 me. All of a sudden, you're like, well, I don't want that in my life. So there's a part of you subconsciously that rejected that.
Uh-huh.
So, or very, yeah, very emotional, irrational, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Yeah. Yeah, everything that you've said does.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and so that means that as you get older, because when you're a kid, it just means that that's part of your overall. It's tied to the first house. With the
Uh-huh.
ascendant, when the ascendant is tied to the first house, and because that is the case, it also represents like when you were born. So that means you weren't really aware of that. You weren't conditioned
Yeah.
yet. So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, it was just kind of maybe there's no planet here that I see yet. We have yet to go into the other planets. So what happens is that in itself means like you just didn't. There's nothing yet there. There is
Mm-hmm.
this planet here. It's called Ceres. Ceres is
Mm-hmm.
about parenting yourself. So self-nurturing, because
Ah.
you grow up you probably were raised, or it depends on the situation, depending on your experience. But Ceres represents in us, just like any of the planets, they're aspects of our personalities. That's why you can be more than one thing, right?
Sure.
As a human being, we're fragmented. Well, at least
Mm-hmm.
we experience fragmentation. We come from
Yeah.
source, but which is whole, and then we go into being human, and all of a sudden, suppress, separation, separation.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what the chart really represents. All these separations
Mm-hmm.
in all aspects of our
Mm-hmm.
personality. Well, personality
Mm-hmm.
and path. So with Ceres
Yeah.
here, it means that at the very least, actually, I'm going to consult this other chart. Bam! Now it looks heavier. Sorry.
Wow.
Okay, so now I can.
This is someone else's chart?
No, this is your chart. I just what it means is what it looks like. What it looked like before is that you didn't see any other lines, right? Here I added red lines here because I didn't want to scare you, but I have to look at this chart to see the whole picture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Probably as a toddler or baby, you were. It could have been that you were naturally. Before I say anything, it could have been that you were nurtured like unconditionally, but it also could have been that part of it, that half of the time maybe your parents weren't there, or at least whoever was the most nurturing wasn't there. It could have been,
Yeah.
but I don't see any what you call a challenging aspect to Ceres, which is usually like red lines. If you see red lines, well, in this style of chart drawing, the red lines represent challenging aspects. And aspects,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you know about aspects, but aspects are lines between those aspects of ourselves. So I only see blue lines here, so that means it's like it was probably there's a flow.
Okay.
So I don't know what this means specifically, like Ceres trine Pluto and Mars. What that means specifically for you is that you naturally know how to transform your powerlessness and sort of anger and willpower into taking care of yourself. Mhm. And let's see what else here. But Pluto and Mars, which represent usually willpower and will and generally power. Okay. It's opposite of Juno. Juno is about commitment. Juno is about commitment, loyalty, marriage. When it's opposite that, and it's literally like trying issues with learning and higher education, possibly when you were a kid, maybe you couldn't really concentrate, or there was, there's a part of you that wanted to learn, you wanted to like grow, you wanted to, even not just like learning, but also your siblings. They probably have power struggles between you and siblings or sibling like figures. So brotherly, sisterly, whatever kind of person. And that in itself affected how your own self-worth, but your self-worth regarding your learning in your what do you call this, immediate environment. That in turn affected your own, I guess you can say, perception of academics, higher education, university, college, even traveling, foreigners, even. I don't know if you've ever had problems with foreigners or issues with traveling itself, long distance traveling. So it kind of the two, you've had to learn how to balance the two together, and realize, how do I stick to what my understanding of it, my perception of this reality? Because if there's an imbalance, what happens is that one, there's a power struggle, and one is about commitment and loyalty, or right?
Yeah. Basically, I grew up in an alcoholic household. My parents were just like not around at all. Wow. And so, it was largely like my sisters, we kind of like raised each other. And so, doing a lot of like re-parenting and like adult children of alcoholics is like a subgroup of AA. Like that's really been helpful for me, and just like re-parenting, like learning all of these like re-parenting skills has been like, really healing for me. And I never believed in myself, and then finally I was just like, nobody's gonna do it. Like nobody's gonna do your life for you. So like, what are you waiting for? And so I just kind of like decided to really go for life more. And I became a doctor in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and traveled alone to China twice and to Japan once to study. But it was really, I think, like in my childhood and like high school and even like undergrad, just like not knowing what kind of learner I was, like didn't really like know how to learn. So a lot of what you're saying definitely speaks to me. And then just one of my sisters who's 2 years older than me, we're like really close, but it's interesting because my parents just like weren't there. It's really, she's like a huge influential voice in my head, like as I've kind of been like unraveling and understanding like my life and my childhood and stuff. Like it's not mom and dad, like it's Marie that's like in my head a lot, and like her voice and like her criticisms and stuff like that. And so that really kind of speaks to that like Juno piece. And then I think just like becoming a health practitioner, the whole Ceres trine Pluto thing of just like wanting to like realizing that I'm the only one that's going to take care of myself, and like I also want to practice what I preach, and I want to live the medicine that I am giving to my patients. And so that really like pushes me to just try to take care of myself in like a large way, and how big of a role that is. Just like it's not just my work, it's my lifestyle.
I can see a lot of this diversity, even though there is a power struggle. what I mean entry, I don't mean like that, like a literal entry. I mean like part of it was that, but once you got really into it, you were committed to it. That's Saturn right there. You had a lot of discipline. You had to work through it. Also, but with this conjunction, it's actually a trine. Core in Ixion. Core is our ability to flow with life. Our ability to connect with the flow of like what is true internally. Core is actually a higher vibration of Jupiter, but Jupiter is about expansion, growing, opportunity, fortune, all that stuff. The core is like like open for like, oh, I have so much, like there's so much potential. I definitely know what to. It's actually like a knowing, an inner knowing. Conjunct Ixion. Ixion is like our. It's finding bliss. It's finding what really is for us. So for you with Ixion, but with Ixion, there's a thing about Ixion. It's Ixion is also violations. So, but there's violations when we don't embrace that part of us that is like, what do we really want? When I say want is like not, because there's that desire of the ego versus the desire that is like more whole. So with the two together, it's almost like you knew how to work with those desires, and you kind of just work through it. But what happens is that when you have something like an opposition to the moon, it's almost like the part of you that had to balance your basic needs with that. With that desire to learn more and really like expand your philosophy, your personal beliefs, and all that. Because you have moon in Taurus, it's actually an exalted placement of the moon in Taurus. That means when you want to be comfortable, you want to be comfortable. And that in turn actually was square your ascendant, which means that sometimes it was probably hard for you to express what you really needed. When you especially when you meet people for the first time, or you make you want to make a good impression, it's almost like I don't know how to be comfortable around you unless I feel secure around you, because there's that because it's part of your childhood experience of like, oh, I just want to be comfortable. People of moon in Taurus, people love to be comfortable. It's just you just want to be comfortable. Period. The creature comforts totally. So with that opposition, it made it kind of like, I mean, of course we all grow. That's why we also have our progression charts in astrology. So, I mean, obviously you know what happened for yourself, right? I mean, I can go into other details, like for example, like what does it mean when you went into core, like. I don't know if you ever took drumming, for example. If you learn drumming, that's core as well. Core likes rhythm.
Oh, interesting. I'm learning bass right now, and I'm a singer, and I play guitar. But bass has been a really fun thing because it's percussive, beat keeping, and there's a melodic aspect to it as well. And I actually have a show tonight. And I have band practice at 4, so I do have to, I should tell you about that time limit.
Okay. So, well, I'm not going to go into details with those ones, but, so let's take a look. So anyways, I don't really need to tell you what, do you have any specific questions? Let's go straight into like any specific questions, because there is one part here where I like to go into like the deep stuff, like wounding, for example. I don't know if you know about Chiron. I've
only heard the name.
Okay, so Chiron is actually conjunct your moon. So a lot of the experiences is meeting your basic needs, and that's how you kind of grow, especially like basic needs with like your immediate environment, like where you are. Safety is important. Security is important to you. Money is important to you. But what happens is that it's quite a challenge when when people, first of all, when you grow up in a family where learning was kind of encouraged, but there was like a lot of communicational. What is it? Oh, it's not communicational. It's hmm, finding the essence of how do you call this? It's that Taurus energy of simplicity. But with your family, it probably wasn't. There was a lot of like, indecisiveness, like maybe a lot of moving. Okay.
We didn't move around. There was no support. No,
Okay.
there was no
Yeah.
there was no support with my education. Like I actually dropped out of college. My parents like said nothing, and then my dad is deaf also, so they're just like communication.
Do you have balance problems? Issues with balance?
Mm,
Ears maybe around
I
here?
don't.
Here? Okay. Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Maybe because it's like, okay, it's Chiron is always in retrograde. Okay, well, that means wounding will still come up again and again and again until you really learn through it. Unfortunately, that's what
Mm,
it means. It's a repetition. Um,
mm,
with it being opposite of your midheaven, it means that, well, first of all, midheaven here was in oh, it's actually in Sagittarius. Your nadir was also okay. It's opposite of that, but because you have Chiron there, hmm. Okay, well, it's still opposite your midheaven. So people probably expect you to be very, very intuitive, spiritual, outgoing, adventurous, sporty, athletic, um, and that with Chiron opposite of that, it's almost like, well, that's not exactly what I want. But it's kind so it kind of it part that part of that wounding means that you have to learn how to balance your um, personal desires to be, towards simplicity and pleasure and self worth. It's really also about self worth
mm.
with how people see you, because maybe you see yourself, or you want to be. A lot of yourself is you feel very comfortable in just being. How do you call this? Like the simple things in life, right? But then
Yeah.
when people think almost sorry, the public almost feels like you're like, well, maybe she's complicated, maybe she knows a lot, maybe she's wise, but it's like, no, I'm quite simple. It's almost kind of like against that, and there's that kind of
Mm,
shadow thing as well that happens there. So
mm.
yeah, um, so anyways, that's what it says for Chiron. I want to go deeper into I'm going to consult a different chart here. One second.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
Yeah, keep
my
going.
main question is like I basically feel myself going through a transition right now. Not really sure, what is on the other side. Um, and yeah, like it feels big. Like it might even like involve my career and like not being an acupuncturist anymore or something like that, or just kind of like becoming bigger in some way. Um,
Hmm.
but
About before.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's your people think it's like the path, but I'm like, it's not really the path. Both the south node and north node
Mm-hmm.
are both paths. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been so busy. What I did what I would consider like a general preview of your everything in your
Mm-hmm.
chart. So we're talking like the details through the astral,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to focus on the north node because
Mm-hmm.
more time next time. Let's see. Your north node
Okay.
is in Gemini, so
Mm-hmm.
you have similar north node as one of the members on FDP. So that means
Um.
that it's first of all, academics is is learning. Higher learning is probably one of those things that's you have to go into. It's not necessarily higher learning per se, like traditional three-dimensional higher learning. I mean
Mm-hmm.
beyond standard earthly unconscious learning.
Yeah.
Because because in the past life you were used to being kind of by yourself. You were used to just going out and like, oh, I'm gonna explore. I'm gonna be like the monk. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be the priest. I'm gonna be sort of, all for the sake of enlightenment, right? But this in this life, your journey is to teach people, or at least kind of that informant, the kind of person who has experience. You're bringing in the past life, things that you've learned, which was like more for yourself. Now it's like it's also about being flexible, because in the past you were also quite dogmatic. So let's take a look at what the North Node had. Let's see what asteroids are conjunct to your node. Okay, Daphne. Okay. First of all, because your North Node is in the 4th house, it's really about building your own foundation and learning from how to build that, but at the same time, learning how to be more discerning with the people you relate with. It was Daphne was in retrograde, and what that means is that first of all, you probably didn't have this opportunity, or this you didn't know how to. You felt awkward with trying to figure out where things were. We're talking like when I say that, I mean like discerning. It's really called discerning love. But let me see. Okay. So romantic fears, fears regarding love or connections or intimacy. So the key is to, what did I put in here? Okay. So you didn't really figure out how to, or you couldn't. Truth was kind of like, it was like, what is going on here? I don't understand what's going on. So the journey is to figure out what is true for yourself, your own foundation. The 4th house reveals our foundation, our ancestry, our DNA. So how you build that foundation for yourself is one of the things you're still probably learning. And of course, because we get, we do progress as we get older, it means for you that it's, the retrograde probably disappeared. So we'll have to see a lot, not at another time, not from today.
Okay.
So let's take a look at what other planets conjunct that. Okay, then we'll go into squares. Let's see. Anything that's square North Node. Okay. Themis. Okay, Themis square North Node. Themis is like what you value, like morality and things that just need to how they need to be. So I like to use shortcuts with words. Intuition and logic. So, have you ever thought about being an oracle?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
That's Themis. Themis was an oracle.
Oh wow.
And she was also like she was literally an oracle, not in Delphi in Greece, but she was also about so law, oracles, signs, customs, justice. So it could have also been like, were you in law school? Did you do law?
No, I've never done law. No, acupuncture and Chinese medicine has been my main focus. Like I got into it, started studying nutrition from the Chinese medicine perspective when I was like 21. So I've been, in this world for a long time. I'm 40 now.
Okay. Well, there's that. It could be that you have the opportunity to, because maybe like when you, it's in your Themis is in your 1st house, but I notice here, you see that there's well, it's not conjunct opportunity. So Themis by itself is in your 1st house, so that means it could be a potential for you to go into. it is square your North Node, so that means it could be one of those things that you could look into. But the only thing I can think of is what I found earlier with Daphne, which is actually, let's take a look at career-wise, what does Daphne have? I actually have, okay, here it goes. Medals, certification, okay, of course. Diplomas, so education, that makes sense. Magnetism and anti-magnetic polarities, dating sites. Oh, okay. So something with, maybe not that. Something more profound. Single lifestyle, playthings, infatuation, long term. So like, yeah, it could be dating. It could not necessarily dating, but like something related to relationships where it's more about long term relationships. Right. Being the fact that you are in FTP shows the entrepreneurship thing as well. That's probably that can be part of that. But Daphne was, I believe, in the mythology, she was a nymph. Or no, no, she wasn't. She was running away from Apollo. She later became a tree, or was it an olive tree or something like that? Yeah, so something with. Anyways, she became like a tree. Basically, it's being like chased when you don't want to be chased. So this is kind of tricky. It's a little general. So something rewarding. The rewards. I want to give you something substantial because I know your sun is in Capricorn, so we know what that is. I like that. But being that that's the case, your sun in Capricorn also means that you have Pisces qualities in you. So that's included there. So oracles is probably also here. Omen-like predictions. That's Daphne. So it ties in with the thing as well. So to me, that feels like, I don't know. I mean, but for you, because it's physical, I don't know, maybe you're drawn more towards things that are physical. Because your moon is in Taurus, so you're drawn to physical things. That's why you got into acupuncture, Chinese medicine, right? Okay. Because oracles don't necessarily mean that this has to be oracles. You could also be like, do you feel called towards shamanism?
A little bit. I've done, yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think the work that has been, I am drawn to spiritual things, and I feel like it does help to balance out, my earth nature. I'm actually supposed to do ayahuasca at the end of this month.
Oh, nice.
I've done it 2 other times. Yeah. I did an iboga ceremony. That was amazing.
Screen froze. No. Hello. Hello. That's fine. That's okay. No, that happens. That's fine. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was saying that what comes like really naturally and easily to me, and that brings me joy because you're talking about the oracle thing, is basically I'll just kind of get like, yeah, an intuitive hit while I'm working on one of my patients, and so many people's symptoms just get really worse when they're under stress, and so I'm always just like, what is like your creative thing? And I'm like, I see you dancing, and they're like, oh, I love to dance. And so I'm always just encouraging people to like do those things that they really like to do. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, are you a painter? And yeah, it's just something, it's just like a vision or like a feeling that I'll get for the person. And then because I've done so much like inner child work and reparenting stuff, like that definitely comes in a lot too. And I think that that's also why I was really drawn to, I found FTP through Matt, and pretty much just like everything that was in the beta course, like really drew me in. And I was like, I love, like, I want to listen to these lectures like all day, every day. And so and it just really resonates with me. So that's like a lot of the work that I incorporate as well. So it's not like just the needles. I feel like I really work with people's like their spirit in that way.
I just realized I had time. It's a good thing that you got cut off for a second there, because I had time to go back into your other chart. I realized that you have Vesta conjunct your North Node. I also have that.
Oh, cool. Twinning.
Yeah. So Vesta, but yours is in retrograde, so that means that you kind of sort of question your inner life force.
Oh.
Kind of in that direction that you're headed. It's almost like maybe a part of you also questions like your divine feminine, your inner fire, and sort of how you connect with the, how do you call this? I don't know, perhaps like water is kind of a thing. I'm not sure if it's like not a thing, sorry. Maybe there's a fear of water. I'm not sure if it's exactly a fear. I wouldn't call it fear, but like you have Vesta and you have Varuna there. So Vesta is kundalini energy. So Uranus is also kundalini energy. So, but Vesta is sacredness. So anything that you feel is sacred to you, that's when Vesta comes out. It's about purity. It's about fertility as well. More like inner fertility, devotion, faith, sexual maturity as well as part of that. Sacrifice. I'm not, and this isn't really part of the whole thing, but some kind of chastity, some kind of virginity, some sort of like sanctity within. But that makes sense why you got into. Now I see it. It's like, oh, that's why she's in like Chinese medicine. Life force. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you also have. Okay, that's part of the brain. I have yet to figure out some part for. I also try to add medical astrology here sometimes, which
cool.
But because it's life energy, it's something to do with the heart as well. So something, I don't know, do you find you have, I don't know, somewhere central body part area? Maybe the solar plexus area to the heart area. That's something to do with the path that you're in. I don't know if you're, I don't know. I'm not really sure yet. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like my upper abdomen is like an area that like if I'll just get like pain there sometimes if I'm like not getting enough exercise, and thus like, oh, I ate too much and then I'm not like working it out or working it off, and so that's a place that I can just feel like distended easily.
So usually when it comes to the North Node, it's something that we're afraid of going into because it's unknown territory, right? So this is why I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the whole water thing, because that's Varuna. Varuna
Mm-hmm.
is, how do you describe Varuna? He's like the whole, it's a bridging of nature and nurture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, here, let me just read it here. It's a kind of like binding. Varuna wants to connect
Mm-hmm.
things and bind things, so that it's really about trying to figure out what, it's kind of like integration.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Varuna is like kind of like Venus, where it's about balance. It's about um, figuring out what works towards
Mm-hmm.
betterment and what doesn't anymore. It's also about
Mm-hmm.
diligence and patience. Um, this also explains why you got into this field that you're in. It's tied to doctors and physicians as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But it's also unseen water and moisture. So underneath the earth, there's so something to do with water, underground reservoirs. Um, let's see here. So something about integration. So I don't know. Maybe there's, because that's, I think that's part of acupuncture, right? You're kind of realigning everything as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that makes sense. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
you're
And then
you're
my
taking the right path. Go ahead.
okay, good to know. But I have like excess water in my body too.
Mm,
So that is a part of like my constitution and like a part of why I take the specific herbs that I take. And that's a part of like this upper abdomen feeling distended too. And so,
mm,
and they call it dampness. And so, yeah, part of like my medical path is like, yeah, just making sure that I'm draining. They call it draining the dampness.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but it's interesting that you're saying that I need more air and water. But so yeah, interesting things.
Yeah. I think I think what that means is that you need air and water. Meaning, like, instead of it being trapped, it needs to
Yeah,
be released. This has to be part of like the
to
flow,
flow.
because that's
Yeah.
also part of Varuna. Varuna rules joints. I put in
Uh-huh.
here collagen, so connective tissues, saliva
Mm,
as well as part of that. Any sort of
mm,
lubrication, body fluids or biofluids,
uh-huh.
all those kind of things. Water weight, that's also part of that. It's funny how you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that. It's like, oh,
Okay.
water weight. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, learning to release all that, but so that it becomes kind of more revealed.
yeah.
Varuna is the higher expression of Saturn, and Saturn is about limits. So if Varuna is the higher expression
Okay.
of Saturn, that means it's release of limits and fears
Mm-hmm.
and help
Mm,
as well.
nice.
But because you also have Varuna in retrograde, that's what's
Yeah.
keeping it in.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. So, have you had any sort of life force release yet? Like the
What would that look like?
Kundalini. Have you ever had that kind of release yet with ayahuasca, maybe, or psychedelic?
Um, I've done the ayahuasca ceremonies twice, and
Mhm.
I think that, just watching other people, I was like, I think they gave me less than they gave the other people. Yeah,
I
so,
okay, maybe
and
they
then,
sensed that. Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, yeah.
well, they told me, like, they said to the whole group, let us know where you're at as far as, are you a seasoned veteran? And, the first time I was like, this is my first time. And then the second time I was like, this is my second time. And so I think that, yeah, maybe they were just like, all right, we're gonna
Hmm.
just be chill with you.
Hmm.
So I would say that maybe I have not had the kundalini.
Okay. It's Do you do yoga,
Mm-hmm.
qigong, tai chi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's part of the Vesta thing. But
Oh, okay.
hmm but for it to come out, um, let's take a look at your progression chart. How much have you changed? Because come on over, Miss Changed. I don't know, sorry.
Right? Yeah.
What do you call this? Let's see where Vesta is. Or your North Node, actually. So, your North Node has changed to Aries. It doesn't mean that it's no longer in Gemini. You're still about, you know, it's all about the education, it's all about, but I would say for you, it is about the teaching. Because it's all about spiritual. I think part of you is still attached to the past life stuff, which is the Sagittarian enlightenment. No, it's coming down to earth. Gemini is practical knowledge. So yeah, I mean, you could. I think maybe that's why you were drawn to FDP to be a coach. So you could be doing that.
Yeah, it's like, and just like they call it lifestyle coaching in Chinese medicine and acupuncture school, and that's a huge part of what we do. And I had kind of like forgotten about that term until joining FTP, and people were like, "I want to be a coach," and I was like, "Oh, I already am a coach. I didn't even realize this." And I was teaching a lot over the pandemic, and people were like, "I love learning from you. Like, you're a great coach," and I was or a great teacher that I was teaching kind of like lifestyle classes from the Chinese medicine perspective, and like nutrition and herbalism, Chinese medicine herbalism. And yeah, it was fun, and it was like easy, and it like created like more community, and it was really just a sweet thing. And then we do cupping and gua sha and moxa, like there's all these like little things that we do too. And one of my patients recently was like, "Will you teach me?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do a class." So it's all kind of been like coming easily.
Okay, cool. Changes, you probably have been also experiencing random changes or unexpected changes, right? Like your career. That's probably
yeah.
It's become part
and
of
also just
go.
Just interchanges too. Like I've been listening to a lot of Joe Dispenza lately, and I've been doing his meditations first thing in the morning and at night before I go to bed. And I'm just like, tiny miracles are occurring all the time. And like starting to do his work, like I feel like my personality changing also. And I think that it's only been like maybe a month or something, but that's why I was like, things are changing. Like I feel myself like going into like a new something, and I'm just like not sure what. But his work has really been a huge part of it, I feel like.
Don't forget to honor your need to regenerate. It's a good that actually, it's funny because I see here your sun has now moved into Pisces. So you're more flexible as a person now, instead of the whole like hard Capricorn success. You're definitely
Wait, so what is this chart like today?
Progression.
That we're looking at?
Yes, with the transits.
Wow.
With the visit. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. And, so anyways. Well, I don't want to keep you waiting, but there's more to say. We have like 9 minutes. I don't know how long it takes to get to your thing, so.
It'll probably take me about 10 minutes or something. I think that this is a good thing to get me started with, and thank you so much. I mean, if I didn't have this this band practice for tonight's show, I would totally stay and chat you up and ask you a ton of more questions. So I'm sorry that I had this time commitment today, but
okay, you play music.
But
honor that. That's what it's part of also that Moon Taurus thing. You like music as well, so that's fine.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm definitely not feeling comfortable about the show. It's like a new genre, and I'm gonna be like, usually I get to like hide behind my bass, and
I play the flute. I play like other music.
Beautiful.
So,
beautiful. I love the flute.
Oh, cool. Wounds are. Oh well, pleasure. Okay, it's right here. Venus. It's transiting your first house. So experiences with new relationships, possibly meeting new people. I don't know if you've met new people recently. So.
I'm meeting people all the time, and tonight's a big show, so I'm probably going to meet a bunch of people, and then I'm performing.
Okay.
I'm doing another show tomorrow too, so I'll probably meet new people tomorrow also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to go through a bunch of the asteroids too because it's like I wanted to kind of dig deep into like what to watch out for, but
yeah,
you do your thing, and then we'll talk later. Let me know what if you and tarot and oracle stuff. So
awesome,
and mediumship.
Cool, wonderful. Got you're the one-stop spiritual shop.
That's hilarious. Okay, have fun with your thing. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you. Great to meet you too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let me know and safe drive. And let me know if you have any questions later. But okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.